Build Your Best Life, another great conversation. Listen, guys, I don't know about you, but if you missed last month's talk, oh, you missed a talk. And so we're back. We're back, and I am with some of what I believe to be best representation of manhood to talk about a conversation that need to be had, and that is taboo subjects. I'm Coach Ricardo Miller. And this morning, I'm going to allow the other gentlemen to all introduce themselves and say where they're from or which part of the country they're from, and a little bit about what they do on a daily basis or what they have done so far. And so this morning, I'm going to ask Deacon Dan to go ahead and introduce himself, and then we're going to go over to Dr. Kevin, and then newly joining us is Nazuri in the house. And so it's so good to be on live this morning.
Well, good morning. Hope everybody's doing well. My name is Dan Smith Jr. I'm from the sunshine state of Jacksonville, Florida, where the weather is nice. You know, we got a little rain, but the weather is nice. I'm married to Deborah Smith, Coach Smith. We have 4 kids, 3 boys and 1 girl. They range from age 46 to 28. No, I'm sorry, to 30. It's in 28 no more. And we have 6 grand. But I'm a retired law enforcement for 40 years. Now I'm active in my church. I'm the chairman of the deacon boards. I guess I used to do everything in the church, really.
Yeah.
Janitory, maintenance man, whatever need done. I don't have no problem doing it. Yeah. My wife has sometimes, you ought to get them to give you a schedule or something. But anyway. But love what I do. And after retiring, I just picked up 2 businesses. I have a handyman service and a lawn service. So they keep me real busy.
Yeah. Nice.
Thank you.
The weather here in Texas is projected to be 110 degrees.
Wow.
Yeah. Coach Ricardo, will you please keep that 110 up there?
And make sure you stay in that AC.
Most certainly. Dr. Kevin.
Yeah, how y'all doing this morning? My name is Coach Dr. Kevin Wilbon. I am a 24-year military veteran, Army, retired. I'm also I'm a coach. I am a educator as well as a motivational speaker. I'm also an author, and been married for 26 years. Have 3 young men. Since I retired from the military, I've been doing a whole lot of volunteering. Doing things with the youth, and you can pretty much say that I did a lot of what is that? I want to say, wow. This morning, my head is not in the right place. It'll get there. Coach Ricardo will be where I need to be in a minute.
Right.
But, I've just been, doing a whole lot of things, giving back, to the community because of, the things that I've been through in my life. And I always said, once I get into a position where I can help someone and give back to them, and that's where I'm at right now. So my thing is, I'm here for anybody's disposal, to talk to give my experiences on, in life in general. And it's basically pretty much, what's going on with me.
Good stuff. And the newly married man.
Oh, yeah.
6 weeks.
6, yeah. It's good to be married. My wife just made me a cup of coffee. Said, you need to wake up. And I was like, why was I not doing this? Very excited. Thank you for having me right here. Great new season in my life. My name is Naziri. People call me Naz. I come from Uganda, Kampala, Uganda. And here in Dallas, I do work with most of the African congregations, churches most, about 50 or so of them, helping them with how to reach young people. That's my specialty. That's my training at Dallas Baptist University. And I go everywhere around the world. We've been doing this for about 10 years. I was like, "Ooh, I've become a veteran."
Yeah, yeah.
But we're still looking young and fresh, and so much to bring to this conversation. And this, I was excited about it. I was like, "That's it. We're ready to go to talk about young men." But that's what I do on a daily basis, church to church, community to community, city to city here in the United States, reaching all these African groups and telling them how things are going currently with their children and families in this new world that they came to, that they were not born into. So that is what we've been dealing with. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Nigeria and I have traveled extensively doing a number of different types of meetings, and it's so good to have Nas joining us. Let's dive right into our talk, gentlemen. I'm going to throw it out, and I want you guys to just pop it in. It's a conversation, and Coach Deborah has asked us to break down and dissect these particular questions to help the viewing audience. Build Your Best Life is a platform that is targeting more specifically young men. Our goal with this platform, I serve on the board, and so I'm honored and I'm privileged to be a part of the organizing element part of this platform from the backside of things. And so I'm grateful. And so from a platform that is focusing on helping young men and to be a part of this conversation on a Saturday morning, I think it's so rich, so necessary. And so if you're a mom, if you're a father, if you're a son, if you're a brother, if you're a nephew, if you're a person watching this and you know, hey, listen, guy conversation, men conversation, so needed in our society today. Please share, like the page, and go to Build Your Best Life, the website, and learn more about the platform. You won't be disappointed. Also, there's a phenomenal book called Build Your Best Life. Get your copy today. Well, guys, we're talking about taboo subject, difficult conversations. Let's start there. What do you believe when we think about the whole idea of difficult conversation? Why is that a term when, if we're talking manhood, there should not be difficult conversations? But there are a lot of difficult conversations. I have a son who's 20. I remember the first time I had to talk to him about a few of these things on this list we're going to be talking about. I started sweating in the back of my neck. Okay. And so feel free, who wants to jump in? What are some of the subject young men shy away from and should be talked about, but it's taboo, it's difficult, but it shouldn't be? What would be some of those? Let's talk about that for a minute.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll jump in on the first one. I think, when it comes to the taboo subjects, I know as a kid, I know what was uncomfortable for me when I was young. And the first thing that was uncomfortable for me was sex.
Yep.
Because my thing is, I didn't know whether to approach my dad, approach my mom, or whatever, growing up in the streets. Well, I won't say growing up in the streets, but in the urban neighborhoods, Washington, D.C. You see a lot and you hear a lot. And once you start hearing and seeing these different things start to come to mind. And you want to know, you start getting, to the point where, you have questions. So sex would be one of the first things that, I know, and we're talking about elementary school. I'm hearing about this stuff in elementary school, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, stuff like that going on. So that's one of the taboo things that, the first thing that come to my mind. And I say that it's a difficult subject to really talk about because it really depends on the person that you're speaking with as well, because some of them may be shy. They may not know what questions to ask you, but, us as the parents or, the person that's in charge or whatever, it's our duty to try to make it an easy transition as best as possible to be able to talk about these subjects with the young men. So, and I have 3 young men.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, been up that alley, and sex would be at the top of the list.
Wow. I thank you for sharing that. I too, when I first started helping young people in the Bahamas, we had such a massive issue with young men that I had a program called the Abo Kids Club. and I went to the government and they were sponsoring it. I just feel goosebumps thinking about my program back in the day. I remember going into the director's office from the government and I said, hey, my kids club program is going well. He said, Miller, what we going to do with young men? What do you mean? And we were on a 4-week summer break. He said, we got a national issue with young men. And so I met with my board that week and I said, hey, when we reopen in 4 weeks, we going all boys. They said, what? I said, we're moving from Abo Kids Club to Abo Young Men's Program. I'm talking about we're going all boys. Long story short, we had some 1,200 boys we were working with on a weekly basis. But I remember going back and looking at some of these subjects. And so it's amazing. Sex has been one of those subjects, like I said, how do you go there? How do you go there? Any of you guys, what other point, or will you agree with the same point?
Yeah, I'll jump in right here. When it comes to young men, the gap between ladies, women, young women, and children of females, the gap between men and boys, and the gap between women and young ladies, so huge when it comes to knowing stuff in this world. You'll be thinking it's just one or two things that are taboos, but it's really quite a few number of them between men and boys. How do we talk about porn with young people? This is everywhere with our gadgets. How do we talk about getting married? How do we talk about mental health? In my community, people come from developing countries to here, and then they have children over here growing up in two different cultures. How do we talk about, Dad, do you need to go see a therapist? That's a difficult conversation.
Wow.
You can't tell your dad that. You cannot do that. How do you tell your parents about your mental wealth? How do you tell your parents you're not feeling well mentally? What does that mean?
Wow.
So it's quite a few number of them. But money, how do we talk about money? How do we teach money to people? Yet we were never taught how to handle money.
You're so right. Wow. I know you go to your mom. I grew up in a single parent home. I was, Mom, you didn't tell me about the money around here. but it was probably a difficult subject for her to talk about. But I know a lot of people, even like my son, when he lived with me, I said to him, come sit down and let me tell you this. This is how you got to pay your bills. And he's like, and I said, this is, they watch this. He said, well, they say it's due. Watch it. It's supposed to be paid on the 1st. But, they give you until the 15th. Don't do that. Don't comply to that rule. Dad, what are you gonna say?
Well, I'm agree with both of the gentlemen that already spoke. Sex is one. I guess one of the other things is that sometimes as young, some young men, young boys, I mean, early age, want to talk about the development or how is a female develop? What can I do? What about sex? So you have to tell them when they're young. Well, you can't have sex because to a certain age.
Right.
But why you say I can't have sex at a certain age? So we're going to the deep conversation. You got to understand. So I agree with both the panelists on about sex. Something that they don't want to talk about. But being who I am, and I sort of chime in. I don't want to jump on ahead of some of the questions. I sort of chime in and listen to the fellows be talking. And if I get in a group of them, 3 or 4 of them, they love Deacon Smith. Did they Deacon Smith? I say, hey, I hear y'all talking about sex. Now let's go. Let's talk. What you need to know. And that's how I do now.
I'm interested because that goes right to our second question. That timeline, the subject of dealing with sex. I mean, you've seen it, Nas, even in working with young people. You got these young boys. Well, I want to have sex. Well, how do you have this conversation about when to have sex, when not to, taking your time? Give us your view on bringing that subject to the table of let's talk about it.
We can't wait for young men to come. One thing I've learned over 20 years, boys do not come to anyone and ask about anything. They don't. Girls do it. Boys don't ask anything. We learn in our different ways. We learn from friends at school. We learn from the mobile phones. These days, we learn everything on the mobile phone. If you do not approach a young man and tell him about something, he will not come to you and ask you. No, that's one thing I've learned about it. We have to specifically seek them out and sit them down and ask them questions. I look at my own life and I was like, where were these men in my life? Where were people in my life? How come I call it the lost opportunity?
Wow.
Men around me lost an opportunity to share their life with me. When I was growing up. I didn't ask, but I was crying out every day.
Wow.
Non-verbally. That's what boys do. They do stand in front of you and look at you and say nothing, but they are asking 1,000 questions. Hey, can you talk to me about something that I'm watching on my phone? But they will not say it. So as adults, as men, we really have to go after them. You have to. You cannot wait for a boy to come to you. Your son, rarely will your son ask you about the girl they saw next door. They will not. So that's the nature. We have to seek them out. Boys are sold out and helped along their way of life.
Yeah, and what he said, is exactly right. You have to go to them because what I've learned, with the three boys that I have, body changes. When your body start to change and you can see the change in the body, then, they're starting to develop. And when they start to develop as a young man, then all of those feelings and everything that comes along with that start happening to them. So you have to let them know the reason why this is happening, the reason why your body is acting like this, the reason why you got so much hair underneath your arms and it's starting to come down your legs and a whole 9 yards. All this goes right into getting ready for your body to change and to look at other females. When you see females and stuff like that, your hormones starting to rage. Your hormones starting to rage, things start to happen. You got to have that conversation with them right then and there.
Hey, what about this subject? Let's look at this. This is not on our question, but I thought to bring this up since y'all mentioned that. When we talk about boy meets girl or even relationship dynamics, okay, your son, like Nas says, is not going to come and ask you. Most young men are. Like, I totally agree. I've never had a young man outright just, with the taboo subject that is, come out and say, hey, man, tell me what's your view on this, right? And so let's talk about this when it comes to, because we have a lot of issues of what they'll call men cheating, not being faithful. Well, who taught the young men that, listen, what is sufficient?
Very true.
When did we take the time and says, hey, one day God is going to bless you with one. Okay, there you're going to see many, but one is going to be yours, and then you're going to have to honor that one and stay committed to that one. And then even to have, when you're talking to these young boys today, they debatable. Why should I just have one when there's having that conversation? Let me see what your view is on that. Because have you all ever seen anybody talk about the importance of having the one outside of, we know we get married to one in the Western world, but who intellectually took the time to stop and help young men to embrace the concept of one?
Nobody. Yeah, unless...
I know that's not right. I mean, he's right. My thing is, I know coming up, my mom would always say to me, don't be tied down to one, you know what I'm saying? I mean, you're young, you want to make sure you're picking the right person. So date different people, so a lot of people call that cheating.
Yeah. Right.
I don't call that cheating because you're not married. My thing is, it's okay to date, and to go out with, different people and stuff like that. But then when you start getting feelings toward one, then cut the other ones off.
Yeah.
But my thing is, you do have to, I guess the term shop around, that's the term. You know, you have to do that. So yeah, so I try to talk to a young man and say, look, just go out with this girl right here. They're gonna first thing they're gonna come back and say, well, what about these other ones that like me? What do I do? What do I do then? You know, so yeah, that's difficult.
And I always hear the person say, yeah, go ahead and shop around. You don't that's what they used to say. Shop around. Don't settle for one. You got to shop.
That's right.
So I asked one of my boys told me, said, you mean you talking about shop around? I said, wait a minute, hold up. Let's back up. Yeah. We ain't talking about having physical sex with them. I'm just talking about the one that you date, you go out, and I always have to tell them, I said, wait a minute, hold up. Oh, wait a minute. No. That ain't what you're looking for. If you're looking for sex, that's all you're looking for, then you're not looking for a girlfriend. Then again, you got a lot of these young ladies that are very matured.
Right.
And they'll take your sons or whoever in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
So they're more advanced. Some of them are more advanced than we would ever be.
Right.
It's true.
Yeah. That is so true. So there's the separation of shop around, which is actually in the dating stage. Okay, you ain't married yet, but now teaching young men that there is a married moment, that once you give her a ring, once you propose to her, once you say, I want to make this my life partner, that conversation needs to be had, because a lot of people have never been sat down and say, okay, yeah, I married her, but I still talk to these three over here who, want to go out with me. No, you can't be going out with these. You are committed, but we know that. But my question is, why haven't that been a conversation at dinner tables and at the ballpark and soccer and just say, hey guys, you know what? One day you're going to find that life partner. And here's why, and here's how beneficial that is for you to honor that one covenant rule.
Yeah. That brings me to the importance of the churches we go to, the setting of the pastor and the church. That's the only group that we've left to handle that topic. Now, most of them do not know how to handle it. Most of them handle it with the Bible in their hands. Most of them rigid, but that's the only place where I've ever been told about marriage. But as you said, how can that conversation be at the dinner table? How can a soccer coach who's not your pastor talk to you about one woman? If we ever transition that conversation, but I thank God that we able to go to church and hear a pastor talk about, but the little we get from the church, that's what helps us through this. But this is a conversation that is to leave the church and come home, school, everywhere we spend our life, we need to be told about how, honestly, only at church I've ever heard about being
with one woman. Yeah,
that's it. And because God said so. But what happens to a young man who doesn't go to church?
Correct.
What happens to a young man who doubts the teachings of the Bible? But what happens if they had it from their mentor at school? What would happen if they had it from their dad and mom? What would happen if they had it from their friends at school? Hey, that's why we get one woman. These are the benefits. I don't know how we transition that from the settings of the church to everywhere. It needs to happen everywhere. We need to be told.
Yeah, and so what you're saying, it needs to be told. That's why I mentioned I thought it would be such a great one, because once again, if it's only being presented in the church from a biblical standpoint with this millennial generation, oh Lord, they questioning everything. They want to know, was there dinosaurs on the ark? They want to know what size whale swallowed Jonah. They want to know what kind of stone was David using. And they go in so much more. And a lot of us, we weren't equipped. And like you said, Naz, from a church's perspective, we just simply say, well, the Bible says a man, one woman and one man, and they will both come together. And we leave that right there. But this generation, I don't know, Deacon Dan, I don't know if you ever heard the term preached before. I know all of us been around church, but they talk about the Joshua generation, the David generation, the Samuel generation. But who talks about the Thomas generation, who says, I want to inquire a little bit more?
One of the things I see, old man talks about, they be reading the Bible and say, This prophet had 5 or 6 wives. I say, you know, then I say, oh wait, let's look at come on, let's go to the New Testament now. That's, you know, I say, wow.
Yeah, that is something. Let's go on, guys. Let's go on. We're not going to stay there. We'll probably have to bring that subject back to the table and just do a talk on that by itself. It's worth it. But are there any subject you are reluctant to talk about? I'm interested in, you'll be like, oh, I don't know how I would talk about that. Is there any, or were there one maybe beyond and you're starting to get past it? Because I don't know about you. Me and the term, my son is 20 now, and it was maybe at 15 was when I started to realize that was a subject I had to talk about. And the other one, we have this on our list to talk about as well. And it was talking to young men about masturbation. I was like, Jesus Christ. Okay, son, come on. You don't need to be in the shower, but listen, you're in there too long, boy.
You know if they're in the shower for over half an hour, something going on.
Jesus Christ, how much water you wasted in there? Stop that shower.
You know, strange thing I had a couple of guys, they was talking, and they asked me, said, what do you think about this, Deacon Smith? I said, what? Then they started talking about masturbation.
Yeah.
I said, I'm not going to cheat on my wife. If she don't want to have sex with me, I'm going to go to masturbation. I said, oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, at that particular time, all right, let's sit down, let's talk about this.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, and they enlightened me on things that, I mean, that's a subject I didn't want to talk about.
Right.
But they enlightened me on things that, you know, that they do.
Yeah.
And so they won't cheat on their wife. I said, oh, yeah. Okay.
So fella said, hey, I ain't gonna cheat on my wife, but I need to release.
That's right.
Release.
Right.
I ain't cheating. Or is it cheating? Would a woman consider cheating?
That's a hard subject right there. What you just finished saying. You know, that's something that you'll be talking to them about for 4 or 5 hours. Because, you know, you're gonna talk about, okay, masturbation, and then, okay, not having sex with another woman. But then at a woman's perspective, she's gonna feel like if you masturbating, then you're cheating on me. Because it's the same thing. You're not doing what you need to be doing for me. And then they'll come back where you're not doing what you need to do for me. So that's a conversation, you know, by itself. It's gonna be a long, long conversation.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, do not give me that subject. Call somebody else. Well, brother, we have a group of young men here, and we need you to come and talk to them about these subjects.
Yeah, you're certified and you're a professional. You come over here and talk to them about it.
They told us you were trained, and when you show up, the pastor's on the phone at home. I'm not coming. You deal with them.
That's a tough one right there.
The parents,
like Deacon said, that's hard.
That's hard.
It's definitely one of the ones that I really don't want to talk about. I mean, if I have to, I will. I'll do as best I can to try to talk to them about that and try to reason with them and let them know how I feel about it. But just because I feel a certain way about it, that don't mean they're going to feel that same way.
Right. Yeah.
And it's hard. That's a hard one.
Yeah. And the thing is, these boys know that it is hard for us too. They're looking at us and they're very smart. They know it is hard for me to talk about. So they will not initiate it too. They will just wait for me to talk about Noah and the ark and all that. But they know, and I know that there's an elephant in the room we are not addressing. But who starts that and how and where, you know?
Yeah. You're so right. And you know, the Bible says in all you're getting, get an understanding. You know, and all listen, that's Karen Miller right there. That's a Miller. Come on now. Good morning. We may not have been taught to speak on any of the subjects and all the topics, but that should not stop us from trying. I would rather you talk to me than to find out from someone else on the street. So true. Because here's the deal. I so agree with that, Karen. That's my beautiful wife right there, Nas. Nas, you ain't the only one married, Nas. but here's the deal. I remember growing up on Sword Road and with the neighborhood where I grew up, they talk all kinds of crap. Do you know 90% of the stuff they talk about wasn't right? 90%, Jesus Christ, it was horrible information. Terrible. And I'm glad I didn't over engage in believing what they said, even though for the most part, some of it I tried to like loosely, it was a thought because it was a part of my community as a belief. But I questioned it because I didn't see good fruits. I just see good practice. You know, that's a crazy thing. I saw the practice of the behavior, but I didn't see good fruit from the behavior. And that's what was not impressive to me. So when truth came, it was easier for me to walk away from the cultural community practices to now better understanding. And so, but that is so right on. Let's talk about this. I read, this was written down in our question. 66% of those ages 18 to 24 rarely talk about pornography with their friends. 32% of teens say porn is wrong. 41% of young men ages 13 to 24 who are practicing Christians seeks out pornography at least once a month, while 77% of porn users are comfortable with how much time they spend watching pornography. Is this a subject team needs to be talked to and be highlighted? As a matter of fact, Google says pornography is the highest search word on the internet.
Wow.
So let's talk about that and the fact that, you remember years ago, I remember you had to go into the store and they had the magazines in the back. Right. And go down the back there, you try to roll a magazine to steal one and carry out to your friends. And then when I came to the United States, they got tricky. They had plastic put around it. So I guess that was to protect the kids, the minors, from opening them pages. What's your view about pornography and the need to talk about it with young men?
That's a big one. And I know coming up, I used to walk past the stores and stuff like that. I even had stores back then, those stores that had the Penthouse magazine, the Hustle magazine, the adult stores. Exactly. Yeah. Adult stores. They would actually have those like out in the front window.
Yeah. Wow.
I've actually seen that. So, I know we came a long way since then. They actually cut it out. You would have to now, be able, have to be a certain age to go into the back of the store.
Yeah.
To see that, you know what I'm saying? They, they have the pornographic magazine as well as the video, as well as DVDs and stuff like that. So, we came a long way with that. But like you said, porn is like one of the highest things, and I mean, it's a billion dollar business, billion dollar subject. I mean, everybody is getting into it. People are doing it, and you listen to what's going on, with the rappers and the music that's going on. All of that's geared toward that. If you look at the performers now, they halfway dressed and scantily dressed when they rap, when they sing and stuff like that. So that's a subject that definitely need to be talked about. Especially when you got young, men and women coming up. Seeing this, not just men and women coming up, and that's a subject that just needs to be discussed.
Do you think, any of you guys, do you think it's related to like a drug? Like, drugs is, people say stay away from drugs, but stay away from pornography too, man, because once your eye game, you get caught up in that whole zone of
it's an addiction. Yeah.
And there's this draw and they market that appeal.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts?
I agree. It's like it's an addiction because while I was working in law enforcement, I had the opportunity to go to work in the cyber center, and that's what we was doing, watching different stuff come out. I'm basically really totally against the porn because they take these young kids and put them in one, and it slips through. It's not legal, but it passed through, and other people be looking at it. And that's something that I'm totally against that. I look at it, I say, you know what? Boy, this one here need to go up under the jail, not in it, up under,
Yeah.
because of how they're producing it and what they're doing. But like it was said about the magazine was when I was coming up, they were up front, really.
Yeah.
You can see them.
Yeah.
And but now I don't hardly ever see them anymore.
Yeah.
Hustlers and playboys and all like that. But that's one of the things that I talk to people and people come back, and we had a guy that was I guess he probably in his 40s.
Yeah.
And the bad thing about it, we found out about it, he was watching this in church.
What?
Wow.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Porn, it's probably in the church. You don't know.
Yeah, right.
Especially when you get in the office that you're not, that you're not back there with, and you go in. Yeah. So
they have a lot of the more progressive churches have their internet system have now blockers on that.
Yeah.
And they put blockers on it because of the same reason. Because it's just, I know guys when I was coming up who they got saved, but they were still struggling with the cigarette. They were still struggling with the joint. And one or two guys said, hey, right before I fell out of the church, I was using crack cocaine in church. And was that the addiction of crack, the addiction of marijuana, the addiction of whatever addiction. The addiction is addiction. And a lot of people have a form of godliness. So the concept of going to church and just basically worshiping God sometimes don't still speak to the addressing of your addiction.
Yes.
So if pornography is your addiction, and so we're not talking about the fact that this is real for people. And the Bible talks about strongholds. Okay,
that's a stronghold, right? Yeah.
Some people, food is a stronghold to someone. Okay, some people, okay, just bring me a burger, bring me another burger. Okay. Then you got somebody else, TV. They'll lose their job watching a marathon series. You be like, you're gonna work out. Oh no, but the episode I didn't watch this one. You're gonna lose your job. We make light of this, that addiction is so broad, but addiction is a lot of things. But then there is in the church world, addiction has some bad ones. Hello. Some bad ones. Drugs is a bad one, TV is not a bad one. Eating too much is not a bad one. But drugs is a bad. Sex is a bad one. Oh, you're addicted to sex. Or pornography, like you mentioned, Deacon Dan. And so when we can get to the point where we realize these are real struggles.
Very real. Yeah.
I told my son, I said, man, don't get addicted to masturbation, man. You could get stuck.
You say blind, huh?
You lose your sight.
Yeah, very true. I wish we were equipped with a great conversation of what this is, what a stronghold takes from you. How easy, I mean, you're talking about the newspapers, but an addiction is something that comes easy to you. Access.
Yes.
That's what an addiction, access, something that you can easily get. If they really need help, most of the times when they want to help you with an addiction, they take it away from you and replace it with something else. So when we go to church and say that's a bad thing right there, do not give what can we do alternatively and what is wrong and bad, then we lose sight. But it is so easy. You have no idea how easy porn is on this phone. I don't care who you are, even if you're the most senior pastor.
You know what? Now that you say that about the phone, it's been plenty of times that stuff just pops up on your phone.
Sometimes it pops up.
You don't have to put it in.
And I'm telling you, the moment it pops up, the finger is ready. What's this? And when you watch it for a few minutes, that's how it gets back into your brain and eats you. And it is hard to leave pornography. Very, very, very difficult. Pornography
is a virus. Just like on the phone, you hit that button once, they send you 7 other links.
Right.
It's hard to deal with it. I don't know how we can help. There's so many things. You can't believe that a church would set up their internet
have
stop you at church.
church have to set up their internet.
If
Same thing, you can do it in your home. I know a pastor right now who says, he said, hey, listen, I keep myself accountable in that of using protective mechanism where no pornography sites can be uploaded at my home, on our church's site. He said, because listen, man, I love beautiful women. Okay. I just I just need to put all. It's like somebody who knows you can't go in the bar, you can't go to a liquor store, you can't be caught in a liquor store. Some people, they don't need to have friends who are using drugs because of what they went through, and it's so easy for them to fall back, and so it's just being able to address the fact that with our boys, these need to become more common, you know.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey.
No, thank you so much.
Amen.
So the question now is, let's dive into this before we're done, okay? What can we do to initiate better and more consistent and healthier? Let me read the question. What can we initiate to show young men that they can survive, okay, despite everything that they have been through and are witnessing today in relations to these various addiction and these taboo subjects, and you know, at the end of the day, we were all at a point where no one said anything to us, but we got to the place where we are now, where we're loosely, casually, and respectively talking, trying to help. So this is bringing the subjects to the forefront. What would you guys say?
I just think we should constantly keep in contact. I mean, you know, just like we do our men's breakfast, you know, I encourage the men to bring their kids, young men with them. So we have these discussions. And the more discussion you have, the more, I guess there'd be, you know, even the fathers or whatever, they'll be more comfortable with discussing this with their young men.
Yeah,
that's one of the things they should do. You know,
totally agree. Totally.
Yeah, we would have to be the initiators. We would have to actually figure out some kind of platform, just like this type of platform that we're doing right now. Have some kind of platform to do that, and maybe, you know, on a monthly basis, or, you know, every 2 weeks or something like that. But in order for us to reach the young men and whoever we're trying to reach, that's something that needs to be done. And us, you know, the ones that's talking about it and the ones that's serious about it ought to be the ones to go out and try to, you know, do this and keep it going, because it's going to be hard. No matter what kind of battle we're fighting, it's going to be an uphill battle, and it's not going to be easy. And we can fight, you know, forever and ever and ever, but we don't get a whole lot of people to join in and help with this, then it's going to be a long fight.
Wow. Yeah. First of all, young man needs to meet a man who's honest and willing to talk. Yeah, that's my biggest worry. Right. We adult men, we still are not willing to talk.
No.
We can talk in a group like this, but when honesty comes, can I meet a young man and honestly tell him, hey, I am struggling with porn. Yeah. So you're not alone. Yeah. So if I don't know how we can come to that point. If any man is listening, I would encourage you to reach a point of honesty with any. Now, a young man will listen to somebody else than their parents. Yeah. They will listen to another man than their parents. If a young man can meet a deacon at church and they tell them, I'm struggling with masturbation, or I used to, that young man will open up to that man, then they'll open up to their parents. So on an individual basis, the honesty, the willingness, men keep quiet, but can we say something honestly to any young man? Then we can bring the platforms together, because we can gather them in a group and they will still, well, yeah, the Bible says this. But when you meet them one-on-one consistently and go after them after a few weeks, because they will test whether you're real.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like what you said, Nas. You know, one of the things I've decided, I'm 46 years old, and 47 in October, and I told myself, man, I don't want no more elephant in the room. I don't want no more skeleton in the closet, man. I am 46. I said like this, Deacon Nice, I'm 46 years old. I can say what's on my mind, right?
Yeah.
You may not like what I say, but I'm gonna say. In other words, there's no taboo. There's no taboo subject. Listen, man, I was talking to my doctor the other day, the sleep apnea doctor. I snore. And the guy said, man, you asked me more questions. I said, man, listen, man, I'm trying to learn how to sleep well and stop snoring next to my wife. Okay, so just there's no shame in my game. But here's the deal: I wasn't always like that. I do a radio show in the Bahamas, and I'm like, you know what? Like Nas said just now, the problem is with our society, we're like, this is the truth, but I can't say that. So let me say a partial piece of it. We're hurting the generation. I know the full truth, but I'm not saying the full truth because it is not a common expression to bring to the table all of it. So what's it? Well, what's it? You're talking to teenagers. Hey, young people, come here. I want to talk to y'all about the birds and the bees. The birds and the what? The birds and the what? You know, why do you got to use the term the birds and the bees?
Yeah.
You know, and so no, I want to talk to y'all about sex. I want to talk to you about masturbation. I want to talk to you one man, one woman. Why? Let's forget what happens at your house. Let's forget what's happening on TV. Let me show you what statistics says. Statistics says that a man and a woman coming together actually builds for a healthier society. Culturally, it is stronger. They are better together financially, socially, emotionally, psychologically. It is 100% richer to be with someone than to be alone by yourself. All of those dynamics, we got to pull them in and then have straight talk. Now, here's the deal. Are there people who are out there meeting someone and getting the milk without buying the cow? Yeah, but the truth is, statistically, the numbers say those persons don't have the healthiest of life.
Yeah.
The better life, because human beings are social creature, is to find a life partner. If we can intellectually stop and break it down and talk to kids and young people and not feel ashamed. And so at this stage in my life, somebody said, I can't believe he said that. Well, that's on you, right? I'm going to say whatever needs to be said to help the situation and to bring realness to the forefront. Before you guys go, Nas sort of did it a little bit just now, but I want to take a turn for this, for all of us to be able to close out with this, and that is challenge the man or challenge men out there to bring real talk to the forefront, because this won't turn when we're adult men unwilling to address subjects that, if I'm a man, I'm the man of my house. I'm a man of the committee. I'm the man of the room. I'm the man of the company. And you mean them they still can't talk. If you want the company to say, hey, listen, let me tell you something. We just blocked the pornography thing in our building because we got some of y'all came here to work for me, man. Don't be watching no pornography up in the supply room. There's policies. I'm making light of it, but the truth is, until we're able to express the truth, we'll never be free.
Wow, that is very important. The very, very top of it. The Bible teaches about the men who sit at the gate. When you walk in the city, there's men at the gate. Now we teach that symbolically is that the country in itself stands on its society, and this society stands on the family, and the family stands on the man leading it. Small building blocks of men build a whole society and build a whole country. So if men, I know we say this all the time, we hear it everywhere, the boy child is being attacked, well, the devil's after man. I mean, we say these things jokingly, but it is real. It is real that we are quiet and not doing anything, and that is affecting societies, affecting families. So if any of us steps up and you say, I am 47, no more elephant in my room,
Right.
That is a great decision, and that will help your son, your family, those around them. They will help those around them. So before we look for big things and big conferences, I need to say, you know what? Me and my wife, no elephant in the room. we are going to deal with it right here. If we are going to talk truth, how can we engage in truth without fear of how we bring this? So any man just by ourselves, anyone watching, is say, me and myself, I need to start being truthful to me, and I need to start being truthful to the people around me, and that can help me be able to open up to young men around me and say, hey, this is what's going on, this is how I'm dealing with it, and this is what's going on in my life. Someone go for it.
What's it before they do, right? Now, thank you for that. This thought came to mind, and it's a loose one. I have to share it because I think it's going to help somebody. My son called me up, and he was talking, boy meets girl kind of situation. I love it now that our relationship, once again, I'm putting it all out on the table. My son's 20, I'm 46. I ain't lying to him. So he said, hey, Dad, I'm thinking about talking to these girls. I said, well, look, girl, tell me a little bit about the girl. He said, well, this one, I said, so tell me a little bit about them, makeup and how and everything. He said, well, this one don't have no church background. I said, just so you know, church helps to build values. I said, church helps to build values. So if you get a church girl, you can almost guarantee. Now, hold on. If you're watching and you're a church girl, please help my statement to be true. Church girls are supposed to have values. And I says, normally when you get a good church girl, she's coming with values, meaning, standards. I says, now someone with no religious background, chances are you got to find out what is the basis of their belief at the core. And I said, what do I mean? What? He said, what do you mean? I was like, I want to know, what is your belief in being loyal to me? Because you may come from, your mama was loose and your daddy was loose and it was everybody loose. And she likes you, but she don't believe in being committed to one.
Right? Yeah.
You see? And I said, and so him and I were having a talk, but these are real talk. Go ahead, gentlemen, share with us the challenging statement that you're going to give to men who are watching to be honest and real.
Well, I'm a challenger like I do. A lot of times we've been deacons meeting, deacons that we gather together, and they know me.
Yeah.
And they said, I tell them, I say, well, you walk a good walk, you talk a good talk, but guess what? You got to show some actions.
Yep.
So if you're going to walk it and you're going to talk it, but you got to put in actions.
Yeah.
That's what I had to say. And always my piggyback thing, you don't have no excuses. Excuses only satisfy the one who make them.
Wow.
And I leave them like that.
And that's the truth. That is so good.
Well, I would say that just be true to what you want and to let them know, where you're coming from, especially if you have a foundation that you're standing on, and don't settle for less. And like you were saying, Coach Ricardo Miller, find out, what this person, what's going on in their life and what their beliefs are, because, you're trying to go out and you want to, get the best. And in order to get the best, you have to know about, what situation you're in and who you're dealing with. So be true to yourself, be true to them. Be serious about what you're trying to do. Have good intentions, and, things will work out.
Yeah, look, thank you so much, gentlemen. We still got about 4 more minutes, 3 minutes to be exact. I want 1 minute each on y'all because we're talking taboo subject, and we want to always remind people when you show up here on Saturday mornings, when we show up, it's real talk. Okay. We're going to help young men. It's called Build Your Best Life. What one taboo subject you wish to God someone had told you? In one sentence, you wish to God someone had told you that you did not know. That you just, it took you a while to figure it out, but you eventually got it. I'm going to go ahead and start it because my one was, see, on the streets of Soldier Road in the Bahamas, the fellas didn't teach sexually taking care of the woman. It was all about them. And I wish to God someone I told. I had to tell my son, hey, listen, brother, sex is not about you. Sex is about y'all, okay? And Don't just get caught up on you getting a release and she not being satisfied. Nobody told me that. I was like, and all the fellas talk about their sex game, but they never talk about their satisfaction to the woman. And nobody said anything about that. Go ahead, guys. One thing that you wish someone had told you, but you figured it out yourself because you're like, wow, I wish someone.
This is funny, but I wish someone had told me about money.
Yeah.
Not the money in the pocket, but the dynamics of money.
Yeah.
How do you earn money? How does money come to you? Why do you need it? What's the importance? How do you build it? How do you keep it?
Wow.
I didn't realize money was that important. I mean, I worked all my life, but I never had the urge of going to my boss and say, I need a pay raise. I was like, I'll always have money. But what's the need? At what time should you do A, B, C, D with money? I wish I had a great conversation and understanding of how important money is in someone's life. Very, very, yeah.
So good. So good. So good. One thing, gentlemen.
I'm waiting for Deacon.
Well, you know, we all piggyback on sex. I guess one of the things is my father, he didn't really talk about it. My knowledge was gaining from my friends in the street. So that's one of the things that, you know, I think that I wasn't really talked to me about. I had to learn it on my own. Yeah. So, but I'm glad I learned it so I can teach my boys.
Come on. Good deal. Good deal.
Yeah, well, for me, it's the same thing. You know, I didn't have someone sit me down and talk to me about sex at all. At all. You know, everything that I know about it, I figured it out on my own. No one, actually told me anything about it. And, the good thing about it, I learned late in life, later on in life. Like I said, coming from the, urban neighborhoods and where I grew up at, all of that was out there. It was out there. But I was smart enough to know not to indulge and to get into it like that because I was seeing a whole lot of young women getting pregnant. And, that right there just, stopped me dead in my tracks. I'm like, I'm not going to be one of those guys that's going to have a kid and I'm a kid, So I've learned, things on my own. And after doing that, that was a great lesson because I can also share that with my boys to let them know, in order to be the man, you have to be a man. In order to be a man, you got to be able to provide. And if you can't provide, you don't have no business having nobody's kids. You shouldn't be out there having sex anyway unless you're married. So, that's, I wish someone would have taught me that, but I learned on my own.
Yeah. And that's the case for most of us. We've had to have learned on our own for the most part. I appreciate you gentlemen giving us this time this morning. I believe that the information shared helped those who are viewing, but in addition, it will be able to help a lot of people continuously because it's going to be out there. It's on Facebook, it's on Twitter, it's on YouTube. And so thank you for those of you guys that are watching. Please subscribe to this channel. Follow Build Your Best Life on every social media platform that it is on. And then capitalize on the fact that, listen, a platform like this needs your engagement to stay around. And so when you like, when you share, when you comment, when you support, guess what? It allows a platform like this to stay in existence. So thank you, Coach Deborah Smith, for having us. These have been fun. I've been enjoying them. And Naz, thank you for joining us. We're going to have you come back at that 1 year anniversary window. The things I learned in my first 1 year of marriage. Talking with Naz.
That's a great one. That's a great one. I wanted to write 30 days of marriage. What you should prepare for your first 30 days in marriage.
God bless you, gentlemen. Love and appreciate you all. I mean, this was really, really good. Until next time, people, don't forget, you are responsible for building your best life.
Right.